want to see Dan?
There you go.
Good. Well, that's
Got a little bit her time. Her time.
Go to favorites.
On the computer.
It's not one of them.
additional time is,
I put it 9:50.
yeah,
There we go.
if you go by that, you'd be late.
You can't go that far, really, off.
Is it here? Oh.
Okay, 6 o'clock, right? You said that news. All right, I'll call the Finance Committee to order. We have one add-on, sort of an emergency. All right. Discussion item, anything? John?
I had communication with Christian Soller. He's our legal counsel from Hodgson and Russ on the benefits marketing Montgomery County. And he has secured an extension to July 1 of 2013. And he's asked for some leeway in that he would like to have one contact person from the county, if at all possible. And being chairman, I'd like to be that contact person to go between him and the board. And if there's an issue, I'll bring it back to the board, and if I need to call a special meeting, I'll call a special meeting in order to address anything that needs to be addressed. I'm just putting it out there that I'm looking for that from the board, the ability to be that go-between. If we need to do a resolution, then we need to do a resolution.
I don't think it's ever come in front of, I've never,
I don't think you need a resolution.
No.
You're the chairman. I think
Okay.
you can make the determination yourself.
Okay,
I've never run across it.
all right.
Everybody in agreement then?
Right on the committee.
All right.
Logical.
I felt as much as well, but I just wanted to make sure it's out there that, I'm more than ready to communicate with the board. I don't have an issue coming back. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right. First resolution is resolution amending 2013 operating budget. New York Connects Grant, Department of Social Services. Needs a sponsor. Michael? Bill? Mike, you want
Sure, I'll just
to
mention.
just speak on just quickly? Or just
Sure, the New York Connects grant, we're in year 7. This is money that helps us administer programs for the aging. It's in conjunction with the Office of the Aging. Total grant was $11,154, I think. So some of the things that we have planned are things that we've worked out with the OFA. So we're working in conjunction with them. I think it's good stuff. So, any questions?
any questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the committee?
Move it.
Move it.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Next resolution, a resolution amending 2013 operating budget, purchase of flags, youth ATI veterans. Bill's a sponsor. Needs a second. John? You're up. Brenda? Yeah.
We put together a flag initiative through the Veterans Agency. In the past, the Veterans budget had money allocated for the purchase of flags. We no longer have that since our consolidation of departments. But people are still looking to us for flags. So we're not able to purchase them, but we're able to order in mass quantities. Price is cheap for them. So we order them for them. They pay us. We pay them.
Are they the same size that would fit on the stand and the monuments and all that?
A little bit bigger.
It's 12 by 18 flags. that
I
we
bought
just
some.
Put on the grave sites.
Oh, did you?
With the
That's
veterans.
best
You know
price.
why-
Best price right here.
Yeah, because the veterans just asked me, Legion asked me if the town was going to pay for the flags again. And I said, yeah, we're paying for the flags we budgeted for. But then I should have the Legion.
Yeah, well, some municipalities get them through the veterans organizations, is my understanding. And I think you two would pay for your flags for your town, or?
We used to,
We used to.
Huh?
but now we
You
send
pay for
a
your
check.
flags, right?
Yeah, we pay for our, but the thing was, they go out and they purchase them wherever they're purchasing the
For
flags.
example, the VFW here in Fonda, they purchase through us a large quantity, and they cover Town of Glen, Town of Mohawk, and another town.
Would you order 9,000 of them or?
Charleston. Yep, about 9,000 flags,
Yeah,
59
gross.
cents a piece.
Yeah.
That's all.
I have, I'm gonna all
We're
the,
gonna reach out again to everyone, like towards the end of summer, to see if they wanna jump on for next year's order to do this.
all right.
It's gonna be a cost saving.
Does anyone have any questions? John?
Are they American made?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that means a lot.
Yeah.
It really does, particularly to the veterans.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the committee? Move it. Thank you. Next resolution authorizing the chairman to sign agreement 2013-14 annual alternatives to incarceration service plan. Needs a sponsor. Brian, needs a second. Butch? Just give a,
Same old plans previous years. This is some funding from the state for our ATA programs, community services and track.
anyone have any questions, concerns? No? What's the pleasure of the committee? Move it. All right. Next resolution is the resolution, bond resolution of the county of Montgomery. It's for the bridges. It needs a sponsor. John, it needs a second. Herb. Sean?
This is a project that Paul brought forward, I believe back in February, March, asking to replace two bridges. One's on Longtown Road in the town of Root, the other's on Grand Road in the town of Root. And has that resolution, for that resolution to go forward, some type of funding has to be secured, whether you bond for it or whether you appropriate funds through the budget.
Okay,
Just like you said, this would require 2/3 of the full board
at the full board
to move
meeting.
forward.
Okay. Any questions of Sean? If not, what's the pleasure of the committee? Move it. Bill?
Could I
Butch?
just ask a question?
Go ahead.
Okay. Is there an alternate to replacing the bridge? John, I think maybe you're probably the best one to ask. I don't know. I mean, do we need a bridge? Do we need the bridge? I mean, don't get me wrong.
If you want to get ahead of second.
I mean, is there another way of getting there? I don't know.
They're both main thoroughfares that lead out into different areas of the town. They're both not a primary road, but a decent-sized secondary road. There's a lot of traffic on both. And the issue that we have is the school buses. The one on, and fire trucks, the one on Grand Road, the sides of the bridge are absolutely falling off into the stream. And the one on Logtown Road has a weight restriction on it that the school buses cannot go across the bridge. They're increasing the route, I believe, by about 25 miles to go around to pick up the children.
Okay. I know we had a problem before.
Well, it's the same bridge that was bought, or the same two bridges that was bought forward about 3 years ago when they put the freeze in place. No, they're both still open, but they're getting tougher. And after Irene and Lee, they didn't fare very well on that either.
What's that, Butch?
Yeah.
Yep, Bill?
Can I ask Paul a question?
Who?
I guess I can.
No, you can't.
I guess I can.
Paul's not here.
That's why I asked John.
And Greg, he's not here, so I can't really find out if those are the worst bridges in Montgomery County or not.
No, I can't tell you there. I know they were the last two bridges that were before the board.
I do remember that conversation.
Before we froze them. They were in line next to be replaced.
They are county roads, right? Give them over to the state.
You want us to find out before the,
I can talk to Paul on my own. I was just wondering, I mean, this has been 3 years now that since we put any serious money into capital improvements. Is there any other bridges he wishes to add? Or are these in fact the worst ones? And there may be some needing upgrading more than these. I don't know.
Sean, I think these are the two that he proposed a few months ago, so
Yes.
that's the two that this is,
Yeah.
the bond resolutions for.
Paul does?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a resolution, Paul, this is the bridges that Paul brought forward in his resolution for this year's capital plan.
Right.
Yeah.
We passed that a couple of months ago.
Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the committee? Move it? Move it? All right. Next resolution authorizing the county treasurer to disperse mortgage tax money. Needs a sponsor. Bill? And Tommy? Any questions on this one? They up or down? Sean?
It was up a little, it's been way down, so
Okay.
Long way to go.
you're not gonna get rich off of it.
Yeah, all right. Okay, any questions? If not, what's the pleasure? Move it?
Yep.
Resolution accepting bids 2013 auction, treasurer. Needs a sponsor. Brian, needs a second. Herb? What do you got with this one, Sean?
Well, the auction's tomorrow. Once the auction is complete, I'll send a listing upstairs. We'll get to the board ahead of time. There's approximately 60 properties left that have an auction.
Is that better or worse? than-
It's about the same, it's been about the average for the last 5-10 years. We're always in about the 50 to 60 range for properties that actually go to auction.
Okay, Butch?
Is that quit claim or quick claim?
Quick.
Quit.
Okay. Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the committee? Move it? Move it? Next resolution is a resolution refunding bond resolution dated May 28, 2013, a resolution authorizing the issuance pursuant to section 90.10 of the local finance law. Do I have to read the whole thing? It needs a sponsor. Bill? It needs a second. Brian?
Can we get an explanation?
Yeah, we're gonna get one now.
Okay, after working with our fiscal agent, fiscal advisors and Roosevelt and Cross, they did an analysis of some of the outstanding bonds that are callable, and came back with the 4 bonds from 2000, 2002, 3, and 4 are eligible to be refunded, and based on the potential interest rates of what's been, the market's been, there's a potential savings of over $400,000 over the life of these bonds, which is over about 6 years. The attachment was provided for everybody, it's an in-depth analysis of the bonds and gives you a breakdown of what the savings is for each bond. But just to give you an idea, that the current interest rate on the bonds that we're looking at refunding, we're paying on one bond 5.3, 4.5, 5%, and 4.2. The market, they seem to think will be somewhere in the range of about 3, give or take a little bit. And again, this would require a 2/3 majority of the full board. So this is finals.
Sounds good. Anyone else have any questions? John?
Is it gonna be the same time frame for the repayment schedule, or is it gonna push it out more?
I believe it will remain the same schedule. Like I said, the current bond, the 2002 bond goes out the furthest, which is 2022, and that's as far as these bonds that we go. And just to give you With that, the cost of issuance is included in that total savings.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the committee? Move it. Okay, next resolution authorizing the chairman to sign agreement FBI antenna site license renewal, Oak Ridge site. Needs a sponsor, Brian. Needs a second. Herb. I guess it's self-explanatory. All right,
Move it.
move it. Okay, resolution approving the abstract of audited claims needs a sponsor. Michael, needs a second. Herb, is there any questions on what you have here? If not, what's the pleasure of the committee? Move it. Okay, the one add-on is we got notification that we need to renew our 1% sales tax. So, Bill? I need a second. Brian?
This is housekeeping chair, we usually do it every so many years.
Every 2 years. All right, we have a Senate number for the legislation. We don't have an Assembly number. All right, hopefully we'll have it by next week. Because we need special legislation in order to renew the 1%. Any questions? All in favor? Aye? Okay. John, you got the only other. I said you had the only other.
The only other? Are you talking about the Toski bill?
Oh, we could do that.
What was the other?
Oh, the other was the one that you said that you,
I did that at the beginning.
yeah, that wasn't under other, but you said you want another.
Well, that was what I intended to ask about.
Okay.
Well, excuse me, I brought it up, was the Toski bill. Obviously, I don't know how many supervisors are aware, but there is a Toski bill out there for $20,000. There was an estimate of an increase for Toski to do their work, and that number came in at $20,000. And then they subsequently provided a contract in which Toski signed it, and Shane Walters signed it prior to his passing. The issue that we have, however, is there was no resolution from this board authorizing the chairman, Shane Walters, to sign that contract. So we have a bill from Toski for $20,000 and no resolution from this board authorizing the payment of that.
Chair, I think we should sponsor anything that Shane is signing, or anybody else that was sitting as chairperson at the time that they did this. If you need a backup
Sponsor it.
resolution to do it,
Sponsor it, I'll second it.
if you need a resolution to do it.
Well, I think you need a resolution that, with two parts to it. You need a resolution to amend that original agreement, and you would need an authorization to transfer funds in order to pay for it.
This is work that's already been completed.
Well, that's the
Well, that's for
question.
others to determine.
I guess the reason I said that was there's no turning back. Is there any additional work, or is there turning back?
Last summer, I think when it became apparent that that there were no financial records of the trust, Toski was looking for, and since we didn't contract to have him audit the trust, so he was looking. He didn't know what it would cost because he didn't know what was involved. We talked to him that we would try to limit the audit to 2010 and not go back any further than 2010 at the time. So I think what he gave was a proposal to audit the M fund because it does not show in the 2011 audit report. It never got in it, and so we have issues with the 2011 audit. And I think you've all got it in your packets. The records are, the financial records are not complete. They've never been reviewed by Toski, his firm. He's had, you know, in all fairness to Toski, they've had probably 4 meetings with either the trust or with Benetech and Sean, trying to get the records created as expeditiously as possible.
So, I guess my question would be is, what does this 22.5 get you, and is it the end?
If you look at his proposal, the proposal was to, I think, audit the balance sheet of 2010 and 2011.
Here? The audit report?
No, I believe that was a communication from Tosca.
Yeah, that one.
That's that, Bill?
So there's more to come?
Yeah, a lot more.
That scares me.
You want to hold a second, because I think Tom's got a question.
You know, I respectfully disagree with what's been said. There were financial records that were kept by the trust, and they were in the hands of Benetech, like they always were, okay? Matter of fact, the current auditor that's with the trust right now had recommended to this county back in 2000, when we were self-insured, that we keep the records exactly the way they were being kept. And Sean was the treasurer back then, and he could tell you that, okay? Could run them in and out of the A fund, just like we were doing. And Benetech had all the financials. So to say there was no records kept, that's erroneous. Secondly, there seems to be a disagreement on how to go back and look at these records. First of all, 2 auditors have already said, BST, Bone Chidi Tirani, has already said that there's no reason to go back and break out claims. Matter of fact, it may even be illegal to do that, because what you're doing is you're looking at claims per person, and that may even be a HIPAA violation, to be looking at claims per person. Toski has written a letter, an email, that says you shouldn't be looking at claims, okay? And it's not required to get reimbursement for social services. Mike has left, but that was what the email said. It's not required. The right way to do it would be take a head count, which the trust has refused to do. They have people at Benetech, they've hired 2 extra people, which apparently the trust is paying out of the reserves, okay? And the only way the reserves got there was because of the people who were on the trust previously chose the right company with the right discounts to get the reserves. So I respectfully disagree that there were problems prior. There's no problems now. All they have to go back and see what the records were that were being kept by Benetech. They were perfectly fine. They were perfectly fine when we left there. What was coming in for each municipality, what was going out for each municipality. And they were shown on our books in the general fund, just as Daryl had suggested back in 2000. So why all of a sudden it's a problem, we got to start looking at individual claims, which is illegal to do anyways, now it becomes a big problem. So there is a problem. The problem is with who's in charge now and who's trying to run the show. That's the problem. Thank you.
Okay. Bill?
I guess, Chair, what I would like to know is there any way we can get a handle on the ensuing work, if any, and so that the board can have a conversation about it. I mean, this is a lot of extra work for the county, a lot of extra cost to the county. Is that something that we can have a discussion on and see whether,
It's
I mean,
something
to do this 20 grand at a time?
It's something
without
that you
knowing where the
should
end
have.
is.
It's something that you should have a discussion on.
And we can do that in personnel.
But in order to correct some statements that were made, this was a letter from Toski to, okay, go ahead, John.
Okay, just for point of clarification, I do not believe that this 22.5 is for ensuing work. I believe this is for work that's already been accomplished.
That's what I asked earlier. And I think Dominic said
Sean,
it.
This is strictly for the 2011 audit.
Correct.
To receive copies.
So it's done.
But
This is to fulfill our obligation on the 11 audit, at least the billing that we've received from Toski.
And not for any
well, okay, I just want to clarify. If it's for the 2011 audit, then it has nothing to do with the M fund. It has nothing to do with the accounts. But here's a letter to you that was dated January 10th. It says the accounting, second paragraph, the accounting for the activity in the Internal Service Fund is the responsibility of the county, not the trust. The Internal Service Fund was improperly not recorded in the county's annual update document for the previous years in which the activity occurred. Accordingly, the beginning fund balances as recorded as of January 1, 2011 are incorrect. And I'll give you copies of the letters.
Well, that's because it wasn't in the M fund.
No, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The proper accounting for the Internal Service Fund, this is theirs, Tommy, I'm not gonna argue with it. This is their saying it, not me. I'm just trying to get done what's supposed to get done. The proper accounting for the Internal Service Fund will require that the county accurately record all activity between the municipalities who have participated in the Internal Service Fund since July 2007 to ensure that the revenue and expenses of the fund are recorded by each participating entity, including the county's various departments. As it appears that the Internal Service Fund is overfunded, proper allocation of the overfunding between all participating municipalities must be accurately reported. This will also require the county to adjust future claims for reimbursement to reflect the overpaid revenues that will be recorded. In a letter in December, and this one's to Sean, it says, in addition to the omission of this fund from the 2010 audit, it has come to our attention that the fund is not properly recording its transactions in accordance with full accrual accounting, method prescribed by the New York State Office of the State Controller. Then he goes on to say, the county's accounting for this Internal Service Fund has not been in accordance with the provisions of Gatsby Statement Number 10, as the accounting for this has been based upon a transfer of risk model and not a claim servicing model. On the next page it goes, inaccurate claiming of health care costs for reimbursement by the county's Department of Social Services with New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance for the health insurance resulted in misstatements of both revenues and year-end receivable balances. Since we are aware of this misstatement in the AUD 2010, we are requesting that in conformance with the Statement of Auditing Standards, number 84, you inform BST of this matter. Also, at least a conference call. They had a conference call. BST that's the letter that you've been touting, all right? So BST was never told that they had to do an audit of the trust. So they didn't bother. They knew about it, but what they did was, when they asked for the records, the minutes of the meeting, and this is what BST says in theirs, the pool's board of directors acknowledged the reporting requirements and separately procured for awarded a contract to a separate independent CPA firm to conduct the annual audit of the pool's financial statements. You passed a resolution, you never contracted with anybody. The person you contracted with went down to Benetech, spent 45 minutes, walked out, never came back. So the books have never been audited. Let me go to social services. I'll go to Tina then.
And again, it doesn't have to be done by claim, it can be done by head count.
No.
And we're wasting time.
You're wrong again.
No, I'm not.
Because you're misinformed. Because you get your information secondhand, third hand, and then you bring it forward.
Firsthand, believe me.
Okay. Here's a letter from Tina suite to us. Well, actually, it was the Joe Clement. Let me get it for you, Tommy. I don't want you to miss this one.
Well, how come the board hasn't seen any of these letters?
The
Where
records,
are they?
The records are the responsibility of the county. They're not the trust. You understand?
Where are these letters though? They're not getting passed on to the board.
They're not. The thing
They're
is,
not getting passed on to the
well,
board.
no,
Nobody sees these letters.
the
Apparently,
thing
you're
is,
the only one privy to them.
well, no, this went to Sean Barman.
But those letters have no bearing on this resolution, correct?
Well,
Exactly.
they have a bearing on it. You
They
asked-
don't have a bearing on it
you
because they did
You
their
asked the
job.
question, was the work done?
This-
And all of the records indicate, and I know, that the records for 2011 are not complete. Now, we had a meeting down to Benetech in April. It was actually called between Toski and Sean, because Toski's man wanted to know what was the status of the record. So we went down, then we met. Now, the thing was, we're not going to do a revised AUD for 2011, because there's already one out that Sean put out originally. There's the AUD that has been audited by Toski, and what they're saying is that none of the fund balances, can they put any confidence in. You've seen that in the audit report. So if you want to pay the $20,000, that's fine. But you asked the question, was the work done?
What I'd like to see is the county and the city and whoever else is involved in the trust to get something out of these reserve funds before they're all spent and people chasing grains of sand.
The thing is, Bill, and that's a good question, and it's a good concern. The thing is, when you got $2.3 million and you don't know who it belongs to, the only way that you can determine, because the town of Amsterdam was embedded within the Montgomery County roster. The village of Fort Johnson had an employee, which was in the Montgomery County roster. The only way to get to these people to find out who belongs in this trust and who are the expenses, you got to know the people. So the thing is, you have to know the claims. Now, come to find out, as of an accounting a month ago, the thing is, the college owes us $38,000.
Good luck with that.
Now, the thing is, are you going to go back at the college and ask them for the $38,000 that Montgomery County shelled out?
Do you think you realistically have a chance of getting it?
Or,
No, because you pay insurance. When you pay a premium equivalent.
no, you
That's
don't
what they
pay. Again, you see, Tommy, this is where you're wrong.
That's what they pay for.
And you were wrong when you ran the whole thing.
Yeah, right. I know, you're the expert at it.
Well, I'm
You're the
getting
expert at
getting
it.
pretty close to it.
I doubt that.
Because you
I
were
highly doubt
not, you
that.
were not an Article 47.
I know that.
Okay.
But you keep
So-
calling your stuff a trust, so, it was a trust, but
No, it was
it
something.
didn't work into being a trust.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
The thing is,
I know
Before we all
you're-
get our
you're the
shorts on.
no, but you see, the thing is, Bill, if you don't understand this whole thing, that no risk, and it spelled, Toski spells it out in the audit, and then also in the single audit. Now, if it wasn't so important, then in the single audit that went out late, they froze our federal funds last year. They finally released it when Toski sent the single audit in. He says the single audit didn't go in because he didn't have the records for the internal service fund. Now, there's got to be, you can't on the one hand say that you didn't do all this stuff, or you couldn't do all this stuff because you didn't have the records, and on the other hand, say it's complete. That's all I'm telling you.
Is there a second on this motion, by the way, John?
Yeah, you.
Okay,
Move it.
move it.
There's a,
See, that's why I don't really want to have this in personnel, because it won't go anywhere, this conversation.
well,
I just want to salvage some of that $2.5 million. You know what? I would put up a simple resolution to split those monies up by percentages. If I thought that there would be support on this board to do it, and put it in escrow until your time period passes, the claims come in,
Who do you know,
This is
how do you know
The
who?
claims are already run out on FMCC,
You know what I mean?
so.
Before the auditors, and God knows who else eats it up, and it's all gone. That's it. We've been arguing over a cloud because it's gonna disappear.
Well, you know, the thing was, the city put in their budget $720,000 the year before last because they saw a financial statement that looked like they had $720,000. And they saved the retirees' health insurance from it. Now, the thing is, they haven't got a clue how much of that money is theirs. We don't even, and all of these expenses that are being incurred because of the county, not because of the city of Amsterdam. They shouldn't be penalized. They don't have the problem. Town of Amsterdam wasn't embedded in the city of Amsterdam. So we got a sponsor, and then we have a second.
Move it.
And I'll say move it to the board. I'm just going to vote no for it because it's the right thing to do. What's the pleasure of the committee? Yeah, go ahead.
Before you move, I just want to say that I'm not entirely happy about how this bill came about. I think that the board should have had a resolution before the chairman signed it. That's history now. I'm not entirely sure how much benefit we received or product we received for this $22,500. I think Toski was rather short in informing us what we actually got for the $22,500. That said, we do have a bill, we do have a previously signed contract, so I do believe that it's our responsibility to pay it.
Okay, but you've got to have one clarification here. If a chairman can sign a contract without a board resolution, then no contract should ever come in front of this board again, because you have the authority to sign anything you want. It either has to be one way or the other. I don't think any chairman has authority to sign a contract, nor the mayor of the city of Amsterdam, without the authority vested in them by either their council or this board.
I agree with you.
So,
wholeheartedly.
so that what you're saying is a separate item. Bill's resolution obviously will take care of this, because he sponsored a resolution to amend that agreement from last year and move the funds, right, Bill?
Yeah, I'm good with it. I mean, I don't think Shane would have signed it if he didn't think he was supposed to have signed it.
Because he was told to sign it.
Well, Shane didn't just do as he was told, if it's the same Shane that I knew.
No.
He had his own feeling about everything. So I'm certain in his mind, he thought it was the right thing to do at the time, and he did it. And I think he
Because
should
I think
honor
he-
that and pay the bill. The work's done.
That's fine. Move it. Anything else coming from the committee? No? All right. Motion adjourned. Mike? Joe?